Welcome back to Not So Pro Football Talk. Guys, today we're talking about the biggest pretenders in the NFL. A lot of teams are starting off hot, a lot of teams are starting off slow, and we're going to tell you who we think are the biggest pretenders in the NFL right now. Now, my biggest pretender is going to be those Minnesota Vikings. I've been telling you guys they weren't that good. I knew they were going to beat us, but then they're going to cool off and slow down. So that's my biggest pretender, but we're going to go off of the 2-0 teams. We're going to go all those teams that are 2-0 right now. They're the hottest in the league, apparently. But we're going to tell you, do we think this team is going to continue being good? Are they for real? Are they going to win their division? How are they going to do in the playoffs? We're going to let you know our early predictions about these 2-0 teams. So we're going to start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, Vincent, what are your thoughts on how the Kansas City Chiefs are doing?
So I think the Kansas City Chiefs are doing just fine. They did lose Tyreek Hill, but I mean they're right atop their division, and I don't see the Chargers, Broncos, or Raiders being any better than the Chiefs. The Chiefs do have a kind of difficult schedule, and they do have a decently difficult division, but I see them finishing first. I know we did a video where it was super hard to predict who's going to be first, who's going to be second, who's going to be third, and
Mm-hmm.
if all three are going to make playoffs or if only two will. But right now, in my opinion, I only think the Chiefs and Chargers will make playoffs. Uh,
Okay.
there was a stat last week that said any team that started 0-2 in the beginning of the season does not make playoffs. So right now, the Raiders are 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, I think the Chiefs and Chargers will only make playoffs if the Chargers can keep up with the Chiefs.
Okay. I like that, Vince. I kind of want to say that they're fakers, they're pretenders. But at the end of the day, they've scored 71 points on offense. They are red hot. Everybody thought that this offense was going to slow down with Tyreek Hill. Well, guess what? Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes are still just that incredible. This offense isn't slowing down anytime soon. They've brought in great pieces to help out with them. And who I think could be potentially second in that division. I disagree with you about the Chargers. I think, hear me out, I think that the Denver Broncos potentially could. Their defense is doing pretty good. They've only allowed 26 points in the first two games. So let's combined. That's pretty decent. I think they potentially get a run at it. Now, Nathaniel Hackett is doing terrible as a head coach. So maybe not. And Russell Wilson's not looking too hot. That offense altogether is just not doing very well, and that's because you have this offensive-minded head coach you brought in. It's just not what you were expecting from the Denver Broncos. But I definitely think Chiefs are for real. How for real are they? I don't know how much they can do in the playoffs. I think though, I think they could potentially be a first or second seed. I would place them safely at third.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was going to say, I think I have them at third, just
Mm-hmm.
because I think they are in a tough division and they do have to talk like they're going to probably be behind the Bills and possibly, well, you know what? They might be second in the AFC. I'm not going to lie. It just depends on where the Dolphins finish. But since
Yeah.
we're getting into that, let's go ahead and switch over to the Dolphins on that one.
All right.
So the same thing, Reed. Do you think the Miami Dolphins are pretenders? Because everybody on this channel knows that I don't think they're pretenders. I predicted even before offseason that the Miami Dolphins were going to make a push to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I wrote off the Dolphins all off season. I did not believe in them. I thought you guys were just full of it. I didn't think Tua was going to be a good quarterback. And I just didn't think everything was going to mesh together. You know, they brought in a lot of pieces into that team to make it is what it is now. So I definitely wrote them off. I think they are for real. How for real? That I won't say for real until week 3 or 4. Just because it is week 2, we can't overreact to this. All right. But they've so far they've scored 62 points on offense through the
Mhm.
first 2 games. They are high caliber offense. Tyreek Hill is firing off on all cylinders. Jalen Waddle is doing incredible. This offense is looking very, very good. Defensively, they've allowed 45, which is pretty decent, not incredible. I would love to see some improvement there. For me to say 100%, they are good because defense wins championships. But we'll have to see exactly what they do. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I agree with you. I just think that offense is doing very well. But they do have the Bills in their division. So
Yep.
right now, I think it'll be preluding to our next team that we're going to talk about, which is the Bills. But I think Miami is going to get second in this division. I don't
Right.
think the Patriots and Jets can keep up. And I honestly think that the Dolphins, since they won't win, they'll have the first seed right outside of the fourth spot. So I think they'll come in at the number 5 just because their record's going to be high as well, but it won't be higher than the Bills because the Bills just have an amazing defense along with their amazing offense.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely don't see the Dolphins being able to keep up with the Bills. The Bills are firing off on all cylinders. We'll talk about more of them in a second, but I definitely see them losing at least one game to the Bills at the very least. So I just don't see any scenario where they come up at the top of this division. So they're going to end up in the fifth or sixth seed, probably fifth if I had to guess, in the playoffs.
I would agree, man. So with that said, I mean, let's get to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, what is there not to say that's good about this team
They
right
are
now, honestly?
the hottest team in the NFL. Oh my gosh.
Hey, man, the NFL broadcasters might finally have gotten it right this year. A lot of them, I believe, like almost 90% of them are saying that the Bills are going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Bills are going to be number 1 in the NFL. And so far, they're right. I mean, Josh Allen has been going insane. Stephon Diggs has been having great games. They even had a surprise guest in week 1, Gabe Davis. Of course, he got hurt, but he did amazing too in week 1, and Stephon Diggs was a little bit quiet. So I think, in my opinion, the Bills are the realest deal there's gonna get in the NFL this year. They have so many weapons on offense, but one guy that I'm a little bit disappointed in is Dawson Knox, their tight end. I wish he had a little bit more to do with the team, but I mean, these guys are the real deal. They're gonna win the division, and they're most likely gonna have the number 1 spot for the AFC side in the playoffs.
Yeah, Vincent, just gonna reiterate everything you were just saying, like a broken record, because they are just so incredible. I think this is one of the probably the best teams we've ever seen this early in the season, where we could just say they are just dominating. Real quick, they have scored 72 points on the offensively, which is more than any other team, and they've only allowed 17 points on defense, which is less than any other team in the NFL. So they're the best points for offense, and they're both best points against defense. Um, that's something you just don't see in the NFL a lot, where you have the best offense and the best defense statistically as far as right now, as far as points. That's just insane to me. I think that the only thing that could potentially stop the Bills is going to be injuries. There's no team that can come up against them, even though I wish the Packers could. Right now, the Bills are just better. I really just don't. The only thing that can beat them is injuries. That's the only way they don't make the first seed, they don't win the division, and they don't win the Super Bowl is injuries. That's the only thing that can stop them.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. But I will disagree with you on that they're the best team at with points allowed because that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Reed. They've only allowed 13 points this season, but they've only scored 39. So
Oh,
in my
I missed
opinion,
it. I missed it. That's my
yeah,
bad.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the real deal on
Fake news
defense.
read.
Yeah, but on offense, they're decent. You know, they're trying to get the running game. Tom Brady is a little bit inaccurate now. They do have a lot of injuries on the wide receiver position with Godwin and Evans. Well, Evans isn't hurt, but he's suspended now for 1 game. Good for the Packers. But yeah, I think Tampa Bay, they're the real deal again. They're going to squeeze into the playoffs. I would say they'll probably finish second or third, just because right now their schedule's looking pretty good. But they might lose this week to the Packers just because of some of the guys that they're missing. So they might get a wake up call. Who knows? But I think y'all's biggest fear right now is their defense, and that's all I gotta say about the Bucks. They're good.
Yeah, the Bucks, they're great defensively, but I'm just not too sold on this team because of the offense. They just haven't been connecting 100%, especially this last game against the Saints. Yes, the Saints have a really good defense, but as far as if you want to say that This team's a real deal. I'm not 200. I'm not 100% sold on it yet. They've been dealing with injuries, so they're potentially going to potentially lose some games here. But at the end of the day, Tom Brady's Tom Brady. They've got great offensive weapons and they have a really good defense. So I think the real deal. But as far as like how I feel about like the Dolphins or the Bills and the Chiefs, I just don't feel as confident with Tampa Bay as I do as those others. So I think they'll win division. Atlanta, Carolina, they're nothing. And then New Orleans, they'll win almost 500. They'll be around 500. So I think for sure Tampa Bay will runs away with this.
Cool, man. Cool. Now we get to the nitty gritty with these uh, last two teams. I'm sorry, in the beginning of the episode, I know we said there was 5 teams, but I just forgot one of my favoriteest quarterbacks has a team that's 2-0, and we'll talk about him later. But
Mm.
right now, we're going to talk about the New York Giants. Reed, what are your first impressions on them?
New York Giants, I am so surprised. I don't know how they're here. I don't know how we're talking about them in this category, but they've looked really, really well through the first few weeks. They've barely been winning their games.
Yeah.
So like that, there's that. But at the end of the day, wins a win, you know. But Saquon looks really, really well. I think there's an injury scare potentially with him. So we'll have to see what that is. But I think they're just not going to be a team that's going to go week to week winning games. I think they might be like the Panthers last year. Panthers started 3-0
Oh,
and
yeah.
then just disappeared. They were just one of the worst teams ever. So I think this is potentially what we're seeing out of the Giants right now. We're just getting faked. They're pretenders. That's my thoughts about them.
Yeah, man. Right now, the NFC East is tied for one of the best divisions in the NFL with the Bills and Dolphins and the other one. But it's going to slow down. I think the Giants are going to continue to do good, but they're going to lose some of these close games that they're playing. They remind me a little bit of the Lions. They're going to play hard and they're going to keep it interesting, but they're going to lose a lot of these games. Their first 2 weeks weren't the best of teams, but I think that they'll finish possibly third in this division. I think they will slow down pretty frequently and pretty often. So I have possibly the Cowboys coming back and trying to retake that second spot, trying to squeeze into the playoffs when Dak comes back, if they don't rush him too much. But I do not have the Giants winning this division. It's going to be the Eagles, in my opinion. The Eagles are hot, and I think that's just how it is, and the Giants don't make playoffs. They're a good team. They got Saquon rolling now, but we'll see if he can keep it going.
Yeah.
But all right, man. The last one, these Philadelphia Eagles. Uh, I want your impressions on this because I will rant about these guys forever and ever.
All right, we're gonna cut Vincent off short here because we don't want to listen to him. Um, we've heard him too much talk about Hurts. Right now, Eagles look like they're legit. I wasn't too sold on them after week 1. I thought maybe it's just a fluke. I knew they were going to be good, but I didn't think they were going to be that great. The way they played against those Vikings, they looked really, really good. Offensively, defensively, they looked really, really well. Darius Slay is just a absolute beast. He's a shutdown corner this year. He is going to be one of the best corners in the league by the end of this year, in my opinion, with the way he just shut down Justin Jefferson. He stuck onto him like glue, and having a shutdown corner is one of like the biggest things you need in having a good defense. And then you offensively, Jalen Hurts is just looking incredible. AJ Brown's playing well. Everything's just clicking for them. I think they will continue doing well. I think they will win their division. But as far as that, I think they'll land around 3 or 4 as far as playoff seeding, and then probably be out pretty early, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. I agree with you. Their defense has been playing phenomenally. The offense, of course, as well. But I won't talk about that because I'll be talking about it more in other videos. But I think the Eagles are for real. Yeah, I think they're going to make playoffs. I have them squeezing in at that 4th position just because they are from the NFC East. I think they will slow down in some of these games that they play. But so far, they're good, man. I really like the way Jalen Hurts is playing, and I like the way the offense is grooving with the new addition of AJ Brown from Tennessee. So Other than that, man, I think we've got these 6-2-0 teams so far pretty dead on.
Hmm.
Our predictions are probably going to be correct at this point in the season, and I just think I can't wait to watch these teams and see what they do.
Yeah. So the biggest pretender here, New York Giants.
Yeah.
Where do we
Sorry.
think? Where do we think where their ending record's going to be? They're 2-0 right now.
I think when we did a schedule
We
prediction
did
for
their
them
schedule.
out,
Yeah.
yeah, we did theirs. I believe we had them only getting about 5 or 6 wins.
Yeah.
So if I might be incorrect, but I remember it was nothing more than that. I think we had some upsets here and there just because we were trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. But the Giants are proving us wrong just a little bit, but we'll see what they finish in the end of the season because they have a little bit of a test coming up in these next 4 weeks. So we'll see how their record shakes out at like getting into week 6.
For sure. For sure. I think their floor is around 5 wins, and then their ceiling is about 7. Just because they started off hot, 2 wins. I mean, it's pretty easy to hit 7 after you go 2-0 with the rest of the 15 weeks. That's our thoughts. If you're a Giants fan, let us know down in the comments how we're wrong. Tell us. I want to believe in you guys. All right, you guys have been bad for a while. I want to believe in you guys. Go back to the Eli Manning days. I would love that for you guys.
Oh yeah,
But let us know down in the comments if you think any of the other teams are pretenders and we were just wrong. But let us know down in the comments. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Follow us everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. Make sure you hit the follow button on TikTok. We're gonna put more stuff out there, guys. And then on Saturday, we're going to be releasing another video of our week 3 game
prediction.
predictions. It's going to be really good. Right now, we're all tight with our predictions. I forget where we're ended up, but last week I took the dub.
Yeah, you
Um,
did.
so make sure you tune into that. It's really fun, and I'll see you guys next time. Keep on grinding.